Eric Andre show. I don't know what form it's going to take, but he's a funny dude. So a couple of tickets here for you if you're caller 10, June 15th. 216-578-1007 to grab these, or 800-348-1007.
You may not like what he has to say,
Let's hear what the idiot has to say.
but you're gonna love what he doesn't have to say.
Love.
Alan Cox on 100.7.
Wednesday rolled around, and we were inside because Wednesday was the one day where there was just bad weather. Every other day, we just had beautiful, stereotypical Florida weather. But it wasn't like blowing your brains out, right? It wasn't 97 degrees. It was awesome. It was like high 70s, low 80s, and dynamite. And, but one day, that Wednesday, were huge storms coming through. And so we were inside, we're just kicking around, having some pops, watching some TV, reading some books, whatever. And, same time zone. So I felt a disturbance in the force around 4:30, and I couldn't figure out what it was. And it finally occurred to me.
No gas.
No
Gasless.
gas. That's
Yeah,
right.
you didn't have any
Boy, I'll
hot
tell you what.
Gas pouring into your ears.
I cannot tell you how pleased I was when we got on Frontier Airlines and saw that they use Airbus airplanes. I was like, whew.
No Boeing.
No Boeing.
I
We
was
got on
Boeing.
board, and I was like,
I was on a Boeing when I went out to wherever, Kansas City.
yeah, there's a lot of them. But now, when you're making airline reservations, you can weed those out.
And
They
we
give you the-
had problems, too. Like, the power went out on the plane, and then they're like, we don't know what's going on. We're going to figure out why the power's not working. And they're like, okay, now we're going.
Well, we didn't pay to all sit together. So we had 2 seats in one row, 1 seat in another. So Nora
That's
and
how you
I...
put Nora by herself.
Yeah. No, we sat her in the window seat, and then I sat in the middle, and Gwen was in the back. I'm like, you could use the solo time, right? So she tells me later on, she's sitting there. It's a full flight. We're going to Florida. A woman sitting next to Gwen goes, "You're Alan Cox's wife, right?" And she goes, "Yeah." You know how Gwen loves being referred to as Alan Cox's wife.
Mm-hmm.
And this woman goes, "Yeah, years ago, Alan was having this cleavage contest, and my husband sent mine in, and Alan said, well, those could solve world hunger." Which I don't
your wife that?
Because everybody thinks that my wife is, she's sweet, but everybody thinks that she finds me as hilarious as they do, and nothing could be further from the truth. She's got to live with me, right? She's like, And so Gwen was
I
like,
just mean out of respect. Why would you look at someone and be like, your husband said I got great knockers? Like, that's crazy.
well, I don't know. I don't think people even think that far. And so Gwen's like trying to be, she's like, oh, okay. She's like, she goes, this lady just puts her headphones on and starts reading a book or whatever. I'm like, oh, okay.
Well, she had a book, so you could trust her.
Yeah, there
According
you go.
to your dad.
That's right. Yeah.
When we, our first flight from Cleveland to New York, it was like a 7 a.m. flight. It was an early one. And it wasn't an easy morning. This was the kid didn't get a lot of sleep. And as 8-year-olds do, test. Every single thing was a fight, from what shoes she was going to wear to how she was going to pack her bag to everything was a fight. So by the time it was time to board the plane, Brian was ready to quit our family, where he was just like, F this whole vacation. You guys go. I don't even want to know you. I don't want to be around you. And I fly so much that I got a free upgrade that I fully planned on sitting in first class without those two. I was just going to be like, it's my upgrade. I earned it. And he was in such a bad mood that I was like, why don't you take the first class
Oh, you're
seat,
so
baby?
nice.
I did.
Wow, look at
I was
you.
like- I gave it to him because
So he didn't jump out of the plane. You wanted him to,
Yes. And he'll stay angry longer than I will. So I'm like, give him, it's a 2-hour flight. Give him 2 hours by himself with a little extra leg room and a little TV. They're going to give him free headsets.
A little warm cookie.
He goes, they handed me a hot towel. I didn't know what to do with it. It's the first time
Wait, he's never been handed a hot towel before?
He's never been in first class.
No,
It's
but
the
like
first
you
time
go
he's
to
ever
a
been up there.
Japanese restaurant, they give you a hot towel.
I don't know.
Oh.
But I had never been handed a hot towel till I was in first class for the first time.
Really?
And I looked around to see what other people were doing. And the guy next to me, it had to have been like a movie scene, because everything the guy next to me did, I did. Like, he wiped his hands and I opened it and wiped his hand. And then he started to wipe his neck. I was like, I should wipe my neck. It was like, so I don't know if that's what Brian was doing, but we sat separate specifically so he didn't leave our family.
Wow. Well, that was very nice of you.
Yeah, I asked the lady. I was like, "Hey, I want to give him my seat. Do you have to like change it in the system at all?" And the flight attendant goes, "No, just let him sit there." And I was like, "Oh, I don't know. I didn't know if like you guys had names of where people are supposed to be sitting."
Yeah.
She's like, "Yeah, just trade with him. We don't care." I was like, "Oh, okay. Well, there you go."
Yeah,
Have at it.
we were in the pool. We flew in Friday morning, and so we're in the pool by Friday afternoon, and we're back there just kicking it, having some pops, and And we look up in the sky. This was on Good Friday, and I'm such a lapsed Catholic that it's not even on my radar. I'm like, oh, right, it's Easter weekend, right, last weekend. And so we're in the pool, and we're looking up, and there's a skywriter. I'm like, oh, what are they going to spell? And it's love.
Oh.
And I was like, oh, this is going to be one of those, like, proposals or something, right? And then it's you. But by the time you get with each subsequent letter, the prior ones are already fading away, right?
Yeah,
So you
go
have,
quick.
yeah. The skywriting is fascinating. I'm sure it's all coordinates, and they plug the numbers in, and then the thing shoots it out. I don't know exactly how that works, but it's pretty cool. Anyway, he's spelling out "Love You, Jesus." I was like,
Oh, yeah.
word Florida, baby.
You don't gotta write that in the sky.
Love
You're
you,
supposed-
Jesus.
You just say it in a prayer, stupid.
That's closer to Jesus. That's why he's
Is
in the
it?
sky.
He's in your heart if you're doing it right.
He's up in the sky in Florida. Love you, Jesus. I didn't even see the final S before the whole thing faded. I don't know if he ran out of smoke or what. But
Love you, Jesus.
Love you, Jesus. Yeah, I was like, maybe it's Jesus. Maybe it's a woman who's proposing to a guy named Jesus. Again, it's Florida. But it was Easter weekend, and so we inferred that was a big. But imagine, I mean, unless that's your plane, you're paying somebody to do that.
As a non-Catholic, do you guys still go to like Easter brunch or eat a fancy meal or anything, or you don't do anything
we?
that day? Yeah.
No.
Is it like it's just another day to you?
Just another day.
Because
Yeah.
we're
You
not.
got an Easter basket?
I mean, we
Yeah.
did that for Nora. Yeah,
Yeah.
she's 8. I mean, but that's just candy. I
Yeah.
mean, it's got
Yeah.
no connection. When I was a kid, we were like doing Lent,
Yeah.
right? So we had given up stuff.
Chips or whatever.
Or what? I mean, one Lent I gave up television because every year you had to like ratchet it up.
Yeah.
And we didn't get. Imagine, don't even ask what was going on in my house, right? We don't have it. We're not getting anything anyway. We don't get candy. We don't get pop. We don't get. I'm like, what am I supposed to give up?
Right.
We don't have anything. We don't get
Laughter.
syrup. I mean, I'm not. We're using molasses. You know the thing that drowned those people in Boston in the
Killed a
early
lot of people,
1900s?
Alan.
Yeah.
That's very inconsiderate.
Yeah. So when Lent
That's why I
would
gave
come
it up.
around, I was legitimately like, Mom, what am I supposed to give up? TV?
Good
Because
one.
every kid thinks he's got a loophole. I'm giving up broccoli. That whole thing, I was like, well, I like broccoli. I was
See,
I'm a cool kid.
We're not religious, right? I grew up religious. Brian wasn't raised religious at all, and they don't raise his daughter
No.
religious at all.
Nope.
She doesn't go to church, nothing like that. She's been to church services in like funerals and things like that. But the last 3 years in a row, we've been on her spring break for Easter, and we've done an Easter buffet. And she absolutely loves it. It was her first time ever at a buffet when she was like 6, and she was like, "This is
That's
the
like a
coolest
That's not like a
thing."
church thing, right?
No, it's not a church thing, but
It's
that's
just
like
like a-
our little tradition is that we
Okay.
usually go to an Easter buffet. And she was like, "You mean all of this is free and I can have as much as I want?" It's like, well,
Yeah.
it's not free. We already paid for it. But yeah, go have at it. Have 19
Sounds like she was
plates if
raised a
you
little
want.
bit Jewish to me.
Come on. Dude, she did eat an entire plate of lox, though, at the Easter
Oh,
buffet.
those are pretty good. Locks are tight.
She's 8, and she put like
You
4
like what you
pieces.
like.
She put 4 pieces of smoked salmon on her plate.
Yeah.
And I was like, "Yo, have you had this before?" She's like, "Yeah, I love salmon." And I was like, "Why don't you take like a piece or two, see if you like it?" She's like, "No, I know that I like it." And I was like, "Okay." So she put like she started with 4. She put like 5 or 6 on there, whole plate of salmon, and then ate it all and went back and got more. I was like, "What the hell?"
That's good though. That means she's getting her money's worth because
Yeah.
I know.
that's one of the more expensive items there.
Yeah,
That's
for
your
sure.
high ticket food right
Yeah.
there. Yeah. Actually, I misspoke. It was Florida, so we did. We went to a Jimmy buffet. I think I'm pronouncing that correctly. I think.
I gotta go.
Oh.
We're starting to see them.
Gotta go. Oh, yeah. Don't go yet.
This is Hot Celebrity Gossip with Perez, Bilton. Ooh.
Oh, it's been a while, but Goss Daddy's back. Perez Bilton's got that hot goss. You fill your whole plate up and more. All right, let's get things started. Ricky Martin was on stage with Madonna at a performance, and he's being accused of having a boner on stage while he was getting a lap dance from some of her male dancers. We have video.
Oh, let me bring it up here.
Yes.
Yep.
For the people listening,
Oh.
it was Ricky Martin sitting in a chair and two dudes just grinding on him and stuff. You can see it on.
He had a full
TMZ.
rod.
Yeah. Well, that's who knows. Just because Pound Cake's gone doesn't mean the show's not gonna still do gay stuff.
Mm-hmm.
But according to inside sources, Ricky Martin says it was just a pants tent. It was just fabric. Just fabric.
Oh, yeah. Faux shiz, faux shiz.
Oh, not to season 1 of Curb Your Enthusiasm.
I was going to say it's a Larry David thing. Yeah.
Exactly. Second up, we talked about this a little bit, but Morgan Wallen, he's in the news because he got arrested Monday morning after getting a little drunk Sunday night at Eric Church's new 6-story bar in Nashville. He threw a chair off the roof. It almost hit 2 cops, but luckily nobody was injured. According to inside sources. This is all just Morgan Wallen's plan to do a little viral marketing for a new song he's got coming out called My Truck, My Beer, My Chair. Say it again.
Oh, yeah. Faux shiz, faux shiz.
And finally, Sylvester Stallone is being accused of using some not so kind language for extras on the set of his show Tulsa King. The casting director, what was her job? Casting supervisor, Rose Locke, said that he called certain members of the extras fat, ugly slobs, and old fat man with a cane. Not the kindest language. And then he also said he wanted the casting director to surround him with beautiful girls. And according to inside sources, even though he denied saying these things, we have audio. Here is Sylvester Stallone saying that these are fat, ugly slobs.
All
right, and here's Sylvester Stallone saying he wants to be surrounded by young, beautiful girls.
If I got okay, then you beautiful women around me all the time. I'm sorry. I'm the Tulsa King.
Hey, can we hear that one more time, Alan? Could you play again when he was calling them fat, ugly slobs?
Slob with a cane, ugly, beautiful women around me all the time.
Pretty undeniable.
Yeah.
So that's all for this week. That's Perez Bilton.
This is Hot Celebrity Gossip with Perez, Bilton. Ooh.
How does Perez Bilton get all of that just unprecedented access?
Because I got
To these
inside sources. I can't.
Oh, that's
I can't,
Inside
I can't
sources.
say who they are because
Mhm.
then they'll go away. So I got to keep my inside sources off the books.
Inside, is it?
Inside sources.
Boy, God bless Ricky Martin, because the headlines, there's nothing to be embarrassed about. He's a good-looking dude. And obviously he's a gay man, so, I mean, if women were grinding all over a straight dude, you know, something might happen. But the headlines all say, Ricky Martin accused of having massive erection.
Yeah,
Hey,
that's
there
good.
you go.
Yeah,
That's good press.
that's what you want.
Massive erection. Yeah.
I don't like that Morgan Wallen has been listening to the show and I think stole Pound Cake song.
My truck, my beer.
My chair.
My chair. Yeah. That Morgan Wallen boy.
Can't
Yeah.
stay out of trouble, dude.
If he would just drink by a river like they're supposed to, he'd be fine, but he keeps doing it out in public.
Yeah, but you know what? People give this guy a hard time, and I obviously don't like all that N-word stuff. But, back in the day, you're classic country outlaws, right? You were getting snatched up for stuff. You were getting into fights. It was a little more exciting than throwing a chair over a balcony.
And not even hitting the cops.
I was going to say,
almost hitting
well,
the cops.
but imagine if he had. Imagine if he killed a cop
With
because
a
a chair fell on his head. Yeah. I'm sure his fans would forgive him.
Yeah, they're very selective about when they support that.
They're very back to blue, though. So if he killed a cop, that might be what broke him.
But are they?
They're back the blue
When they
if
feel
the
like
blue
it.
are giving other people a hard time.
Yeah.
Not so much when they're giving them a hard time. But, I mean, imagine that. This guy really lucked out by not hitting anyone with those chairs. Because one thing if you get into a bar brawl or something like that, like back in the day. But, oof. All right, I'm going to break here. Want to send a text? 35192. Want to go see Josie Scott's Saliva? You know the band Saliva? He's the original front man, and there's been some acrimony in that organization. So he is letting you know it's him back in front. They're going to play Temple Live at the Asylum Room in a couple of weeks. April the 18th. That's a week from this Thursday.